What is the deal, beautiful people?
Yeah.
Back in the building.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ramon.
It's your boy, the Kicks God, back.
And I am Snow.
Snow God.
Snow God.
Welcome back to the Quarantine Chronicles. Stay your ass
Damn this shit,
inside.
son.
Stay the fuck in the house. Stay in the house so I can go outside later and do hood rat things, fam.
Nah, just stay in the house.
Nah, stay in the
run
house
the
now so I can do
streets.
hood rat things about my motherfucking birthday, fam. My birthday's looking like it's in jeopardy.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, mine
son.
too.
You ain't
Son,
lying.
I'm talking the monster truck,
Oh, Tawann's is
the monster
definitely in
truck
jeopardy.
shit, the medieval time shit.
The medieval
Son.
times, yeah.
You
Son,
can't do that with
why
just
not?
you and your peoples.
We can't.
I need the whole stadium.
Basketball season is done.
Fam.
No one won.
Fam,
No one.
that's just heartbreaking,
Right.
fam.
I might have to order a monster truck on Amazon and send it to you, Snow. Happy birthday, motherfucker.
I appreciate it.
Yo, I used to have one too. It's just funny.
I had a question for you,
Oh,
gentlemen.
shoot.
I'm going to start with Snow. Who is your man crush?
Son.
Kind of few jump into the mind. I would have to say my earliest is probably Shaq.
Shaq? Shaq was a dope
Yeah,
dude.
because Shaq, like, his is grown adult. He
Yeah, he's gotten so much more relatable as he got older.
and then like if you
he's always
right,
clowning
and,
around.
and you know, I learned very early the things that he does. You know what I'm saying? Like his heart is humongous. He may fuck around and to keep people feeling good around him and all that shit, but like he has a really big generous heart. Like one of his things where it was like, you know, could he had the big Nike deal and all that stuff? Yeah, he had a deal at one point, but then he went and had his own sneakers so that way kids could afford his sneakers.
People
Yeah.
can afford it. That was dope. That was the Payless
I
thing.
believe
yeah?
that was one of them. You know what I mean?
And I think Reebok first,
Reebok
then
then
Payless.
Payless, right?
Actually, no, it wasn't.
Was
it
it
wasn't
Reebok?
Payless. Well, it was sold in Payless.
Sold in Payless,
but it
right?
was actually Target. It was he sold his sneakers in Target.
Okay.
And Target,
Nice.
Walgreens. It was those in those places
Right.
where
Yeah.
you
That's
were
dope.
able to and of course Payless as well, and any other affordable sneaker place. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can always just tell like he was just like having fun. But then he was serious where it needed to be serious at.
Right.
The All-Star games, he entertained the place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they were competitive and all that, but like, you know, he used to tell us he's gonna do wild shit. Like he gonna bring the ball up and shoot a three and this, that, and the third, and people would be looking for him. I remember the Rock and Jock series. He used to be part of that, having a lot of fun. Then he did the Shaka Claus thing, which I had heard about. From
heard
so there's a dude who I knew who lived out in Jersey that knew Shaq and him out that way. And so Shaka Claus is basically like him every year, you know, and he still does this. Every year he'll dress up as Santa Claus, as Shaq Santa Claus, and he'll just bring stuff to kids in needs. Kids without shoes, all this kind of stuff. And this is the 90s that I'm talking about. Like this had nothing to do with like looking them up on the internet or nothing like that. Like this was just word of mouth. I've heard countless times of things where he just did stuff for people, which is very much like Mike Tyson like, and we'll get into that a little later. And you know, he just looked out for people. The big Aristotle, big fun motherfucker, big serious when he needs to be. And you know, I enjoyed him on the screen. I didn't really I don't have a problem with Shazam. I know it's a running joke, but I saw that as a win for him.
Sorry, I got a problem with Shazam.
The reason why I don't have a problem with it is because I know what he was trying to do, and I'm not going to tear a man down for it. You know what I mean? But like in general, I just fucks with Shaq.
Okay, yeah, nah. It's I wouldn't necessarily say he would be. It's kind of hard for me to say man crush, but if I was he would be a runner up too, because he just does a lot of things in the community. he does a lot of things for people to see. Hey, you don't have to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do this. But if you have this, it should be invested like that. Like he is now, for me understanding what his position is amongst everything, he is the Swiss Army knife of individuals when it comes to proper investment, opportunities that were his way, that were thrown his way. He has his hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people, his net worth is he's making more money now than he ever did in basketball.
Yeah.
So
that's good to hear.
And he put that foundation down early. I mean, I think about his first movie with him and Penny Hardaway, and then they actually became teammates. And then I think about, him rapping with the Fushnikins, and then
what movie was that?
Was that Blue Chips?
Blue Chips.
Yeah, Blue Chips.
Blue Chips.
And then
it was actually a very good movie.
I'm shocked
too.
I remember that. I'm fucking American. You people don't respect me.
It was a good movie.
It was a very good movie. Probably one of the best sports movies out there that don't get a lot of love.
Well, the acting was shitty,
but the context of what we was after, that was
the concept. Yeah.
And I mean, like, just all those things he was doing. Like, as soon as he came into the league, he was doing it. I'd be surprised to hear some stories of what else he was doing in that first. I'm gonna say his first contract, because that's how I measure a lot of the players in the NBA, by their first contract, which is their rookie year, which is some cases is 3, some cases is 4. Just because, like, it's about, like, what they do as a player and then what they do as a businessman. And
sure.
When you're not used to having stuff, that stuff gets in the way of what you get paid to do. And the way I saw him navigate through all that and creative things, and regardless how you feel, the dude was a platinum recording artist.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
So
Truth.
I tip my hat to him.
Truth. And Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu
put out another game too.
Video game.
Yeah, he put out another one. He put one recently. Yeah, but he put a recent one out. Yeah. He got one out recently.
Really?
Was it good?
I didn't get a chance to look at it.
It's probably better than Destiny.
Oh, all right, for sure.
Everything's better than Destiny.
Do you have a runner-up, sir?
Do I have a runner-up?
Yeah.
I would say Jason Kidd.
No clue what the fuck he did. All I know about Jason Kidd was he was the motherfucker with the wild handle in Live 98 or whatever that was.
He wasn't really known for his handle.
Oh,
well, the pass.
He was a good passer. He was a good passer.
That's when Live had the crazy, like, that was the first year they had behind the back between the leg passing, and Jason Kidd was just
he was
wilding
wilding out in that video game. You couldn't rip him. You couldn't rip him.
I'd say Mike Bibby.
You couldn't. Sorry, it doesn't matter. So you couldn't rip him, and you couldn't stop the passes, Phil. But yeah, Jason Kidd.
He had a long and illustrious career in the NBA.
Yeah,
too,
and I'm happy that
he played for a long.
I'm happy that they retired
too.
him and Grant Hill. Yeah,
he coached.
He's a head coach too.
He was a head coach. He's not a head coach right now. He's a coach right now, but he's not a head coach right now. He became a head coach. He was coaching the Brooklyn Nets at one point when Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was there, and then he was one of the dudes who was coaching Giannis before they got him up out of there to put the next coach in there.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
okay. So what's his spiel?
What's
notable about him?
I didn't have hoop dreams at the time, or I was confused on whether or not I had hoop dreams. And man, I love this game. I just studied him, his poise, his field.
Got it.
I didn't know what IQ was back then, but like I knew that he had a different vision for everything. It always feels like he was at the right place at the right time, doing the right things, making the right calls on defense and offense. He always looked like someone that could have gave you 32 points, but he'd rather get 32 assists, or 10 assists and 4 steals. And I watched him develop his game a little longer. He's just one of my favorite players. Him and John Stockton, just one of my favorite players.
Leadership,
to ever do it.
leaders,
yeah. Straight up leaders. Yeah.
That's dope. Okay, Tawann.
I'm sitting here chiming in where I can. However, I'm thinking like, damn, who could I say that I've ever had a man crush on? That's difficult for me, because I don't know. It's a difficult concept for me.
You don't like the word. You don't like the word crush. That's what it is.
Yeah, that. But I've never really looked to another man besides my father as that much of an inspiration for me. However,
but that's not necessarily what it is, though. It's just somebody you think is fucking wild dope,
right? That
you're a fan of whatever they do.
Right. So that's where the however came in. I could say Michael Jordan, much far before now, and more to while he was playing, when I had posters up in my music room. It was like a shrine built to Michael Jordan, and it wasn't just because I felt like he was the greatest player of all time, or it wasn't because he won 6 championships, and it wasn't because I liked his sneakers. I could say it was more to his dedication towards achieving a goal. So obviously,
and how he did it relentlessly.
Right. And you have a basketball player. So the objective of any basketball player is to win basketball games, clearly. And the ultimate goal is to win a championship. But when you watch where, your favorite basketball player is winning now, but I watched him before he was winning, and what his road was like to the point where he won in 1990-91, 1991, give or take, his first championship, how Boston was a thorn in their side and in his side, where what do you call it? The Pistons, Detroit was a thorn in his side. You know what I'm saying? When you look at how, I mean, they
beat them up too, right? Detroit really beat them up in that series.
Boston beat them. Detroit beat them up,
right?
And beat them.
It was a very physical series.
Absolutely. And
I think he said that was the first time he took it. Somebody hit Scotty in the face or some shit like that. I forgot what it was. And he was like, "This game is personal." Was it?
Yeah,
was it that Detroit
they hit
series?
The gym. Whatever it was, it started next season because
it
put him in the gym. It put him in the gym.
It might have been. It might have been the season with the Pistons. So the problem with just a history lesson. The problem with the Pistons were, his problem with the Pistons, what he said, they were a dirty team, and they were.
Right.
All right. The Pistons, most notably, what is the boy's name? The white boy that played for them?
Laimbeer.
Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer. So they were all.
He was a professional wrestler. Goddammit.
Might as well been.
Okay. Yeah, might as well be.
He might as well be. He clotheslining motherfuckers.
And where it was like Detroit started the no layup rule. The no Jordan layup rule, or
Jordan rules.
Where
Jordan
rules. Jordan rules. So just like it was hack a Shaq for Shaq, he's not gonna know. You better beat him up. He's gonna.
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's fucking hilarious.
So, and that whole string of games from Boston up until Detroit was a huge problem for him, and to see how resilient he was up until now his first championship. Now they have a taste. He has a taste for what it takes to be a champion. Okay, wash, rinse, repeat. And up until the third championship, which I felt was probably the more emotional championship because it was won on Father's Day, first of all, and he had just lost his pops. And these are, and we can talk about what that entire situation entailed, but that's negativity. His triumph, his on-court triumph, it kind of overlapped with his personal triumphs, and how it's about getting over hurdles. It's about getting over these negative things that marked the end of. And I'm not going to say it's totally, and I don't know his day to day, but that was supposedly the reason when he retired and he left to play baseball. That was supposed to had marked the end of his gambling. Now, I don't know if it stopped or not, but this was a conversation. So, and then moving forward to, him returning and winning 3 additional championships, that's all perseverance. It's a credit to his talent, but it's a credit to his ability to know, like the first Seattle, was it the Seattle or the Utah? It might have been the first Utah final series. Utah was beating their ass. It took points where he had to realize, I got to dish this ball off. Pippen, you got to score. Price, you got to score.
Kerr,
my fault. Kerr, you got to score. Bushler, you got to score.
Cool coach.
Everybody had to step up, and being the man doesn't always mean that you have to be the man. Sometimes you got to learn how to bring other people up in order for the ultimate goal. And I think that with all of that being said, if I had to say a man crush, who would that be? I'd say him. I'd say Michael Jordan. No one else exhibited that type of tenacity for me.
Sure. I get that. That's cool. Plus, fuck those kids.
Plus, fuck those kids.
Yeah, I understand. Well, unlike you guys, I don't have any real... I think the game of basketball is for pussies, and I don't like puss in boots. So I have no man crushes on the basketball court, sir. I'm going to go with my man Brad Pitt.
I figured.
I fucks with the Brad Pitt heavy, son.
Brad Pitt's the man.
Yo,
I thought you'd say Tom Cruise, but...
Nah.
I fucks with Tom Cruise too,
but still Brad Pitt.
I'm going with Brad, son. I don't know nothing about no Jennifer Aniston. I don't know the story, but I'm still team Brad Pitt.
Wasn't he?
I think Angelina Jolie is cool, but I'm still team Brad Pitt, son. I just think this dude is just... And it's tough because you got to choose between him and Leo.
Who, DiCaprio?
I mean, do you though?
I think Brad is
do
that
you
dude,
really?
son. I say you have to, son. Yeah, you have to. You Hove or you yay. You got to
that's
choose.
easy for me. That's Hove.
No, it is not. Interesting.
It is yay for you. You will fall in line, son.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, I you know what it is? I just think as I got older and I started to get to know people from different countries and different parts of the world. And then you come back and watch Brad Pitt's performance and you see just how fucking wild of an actor he is. Like when he was in Inglourious Bastards, right? And he's that southern... Where was he from? Tennessee or Nashville, wherever the fuck he was from.
Yes.
We're in the business of killing Nazis. Like, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. And then you watch another one of his movies, and I just watched one, By the Sea, where he's playing an American writer, I think it was, and it was actually directed by Jolie, and they went on vacation in Italy somewhere in the countryside by the sea so he can get his mojo back in writing, and you hear how well he speaks the language. It's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, and then he also speaks French, and it's like, fam, this is kind of wild. And then you watch, what was the one with Falls of the Legend? I think it is. I don't know if you guys ever seen that one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
Son, like his movies get me wild emotional. Son, he's that good of an actor. And then you watch Fury. I know you've seen Fury. Like he's just, it's just dope how he's just at so many different sides of the spectrum. I really enjoy. And there's also like Snatch. I never saw Snatch until Snows.
Yeah, fam.
There's still bodies of his work that exist that I'm savoring. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna keep this for a rainy day. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch this, and I'm gonna
actually Snatch on a rainy day. Son, that's gonna be a good watch.
Yeah,
World War Z.
I saw most of Snatch.
World War Z.
World War Z. Son, I love that movie.
That was wild.
Yeah. I love him in Oceans, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't. There's not much else to say, man. Like Brad is just that dude. So I don't know. I guess Leo's cool too. I guess
Leo
got hits, boy.
Yeah, but
Leo got hits.
Leo. His acting ability had to evolve. Early Leo is not as good as Leo now, and I feel like once which one came first? Was it Wolf of Wall Street or Django?
I think Django.
Which one?
Both those movies made me wild and
I think
uncomfortable.
Django was first.
Whichever one came first, I feel like that's when
it clicked.
It was like,
nah,
okay, now
it's too late.
I have to be on a different level.
Nah, it's too late.
He was hitting Inception
It's
too,
too
though.
late, fam. He knocked it out before that, son. Like, I could even say Shutter Island. Shutter Island.
Treasure Island was fucking
Shutter Island
amazing,
might be the one
son.
where
Shutter
I could
Island,
tell
sorry.
people, like, you want to see the transformation from when he was one way and then he became the next way. Shutter Island would be the movie, I think.
Son, what's your take on the end of that movie?
I watched it and I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I need to watch it again.
So
I think he was aware and he chose to play into them because he just didn't want to live anymore.
yeah,
Or
he
what
couldn't
did.
live with it. So, that quote that
Yeah.
he says, to live your life as a madman or whatever that line.
Yeah.
I love that line. He knew. And then he fed himself
Right.
to the medicine because he couldn't deal with it.
Right. And he led them to believe that he really wasn't aware,
Right.
but he was. Okay. All right. Because I saw it a few times and I was just like, what the fuck? How am I supposed
Yeah.
to take this?
Nah, just good fucking movie.
Okay.
And then he got a couple movies like that. Inception is one of them. He got another one like that.
Inception.
Inception
The one
is
where he
good.
got fucked up by that bear.
That
She
shit.
had 2 lines of dialogue.
Fam, you need to see the South Park episode of Inception.
Yeah, it's fucking
Son,
good,
I'm
this
coming
South
every
Park shit.
episode, my G, with a South Park recommendation.
Okay.
It-
Leo's
is,
good.
Is just off topic. Would it be right for me to say fuck South Park?
Damn.
You
son.
can say it all you want.
with-
It don't mean anything.
No. But hear me out. With The Simpsons,
Mm-hmm.
with Rick and Morty,
Mm-hmm.
with American Dad,
Mhm.
with those types of adult animated cartoons.
I think South Park stands outside of them. South Park makes very sophisticated fun
Of society.
of society.
This is why I keep
All
telling
right.
Ramon to watch the shit.
And it's every time I've watched it, it's a consistently brilliant level of it. Whereas Family Guy is just wild.
Family Guy is like, I've watched Family Guy. It's wild.
Family, you know what it is? All right, so here is a nutshell. You see how Family Guy goes after Jews?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I feel like no one gets it harder than Jews and Family Guy. South Park does that for everyone.
Yep.
Everyone and every anything. That's what South Park is.
Right. But that's my point.
And I very rarely disagree with the underlying tone of the narrative in South Park.
Like,
it's crude, though.
Listen, with everything we have to ingest when it comes to that type of comedy.
Sure.
American Dad, Family Guy, all of these level animated shows.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say fuck South Park? Like, I
don't think so.
Because I
can say fuck the animation on South Park. I hate to look at
the
it.
animation is so much better now.
It is, but I felt like
the art style. Let me say,
I felt like the animation for South Park was where it was because what was going on, the content of what was going on, way overshadowed the animation. So it was like, yeah, you're seeing what you're seeing, and I get it, but listen.
So you can deal with the art style.
I can deal with the art style. It's the content, but I'm saying show for show. You know what I'm saying? Show for show.
First off, fam, American Dad doesn't hit on the pipes that South Park does. Like it's not even close.
I don't think American Dad
is good. American Dad is good.
It's funny
in the same way that the randomness of its parent show, which is Family Guy, is good. You know, there's no deep storytelling there. Like that's the part with South Park. Like I get the simplicity of the art, which is, even though simplicity, the technology that they're using to do the art in the last 10 years, even the last probably 15 years now, is not. I feel like everybody who makes the comment about their art, it still remembers 1997 through 1998, 1999. I don't feel like, I feel like they won't look at it under the new scope. Even the movie had a different art style.
Right.
And Family Guy, American Dad, what's the other shit? The Cleveland Show, which is the worst out of all of them.
Bro.
And it's
that was the worst. I didn't resonate.
Right. And it's like those jokes, they're quick jokes. You know what I'm saying? Family Guy will give you some long jokes, some long running jokes, some medium running jokes. And, you know, they don't really do too much social stuff. The format is perfect. American Dad is more of a sitcom done in a cartoon format, and no beef with it. But to me, it just doesn't hold as much meat as a South Park or even a Simpsons do. And I'm not really that big of a Simpsons fan. Simpsons,
I'm falling off of the Simpsons.
That's fair, because they're still trying to they're implementing things that they didn't have to do because they've been on for the longest. So it's gonna hard to keep fresh. Even South Park, like I remember listening to I want to say like 2007 or 2008. I was listening to a DVD, and they had the voice notes on it, and they were just talking about like, yeah, this is another episode where you could tell that we're losing our mojo. You know, we're running out of things. We can't get stuff out fast enough because of the technology. And then, you know, we're like, our ratings are suffering for it. We still knock out a few things. So like, they're being very open about that. So, and as soon as they was able to do an episode that reacted off of something that just happened on Tuesday, and then by that Saturday, they had an episode ready to go, that's when they was on fire. Right. And son, there's like the masterpieces that they put together with the show is just, I don't know, fam. I can't put American Dad above South Park. And Rick and Morty is good, but Rick and Morty is a cartoon sitcom. Like it's that episode, that day, that moment, that time. These jokes are gonna be done as soon as they're over. It's gonna become jokes for us to tell all the time, but it won't re-exist. There's stuff that I was telling Ramon, like depending on what he's watching, that's gonna be a joke from the first season, the ninth season, the 8th season. You know, this is a character from they killed over here, but they left it open, and here's this guy back. Like they do all that. The shit with Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
and Donald Trump, aka Mr. Garrison, son, you cannot write that any better, because it literally is what's happening, and he just found a way to do it.
And that was South Park.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I think South Park is outside, even if you remove animation or cartoons from the topic. I think South Park is its own thing. I don't think anything else exists like South Park.
Yeah, I don't. I think Simpsons predict the future.
That creative narrative on current affairs. Endless trolling, but trolling that you can't really argue with. You know what I mean? Like nothing. I don't think anything exists like South Park.
They had a Facebook episode which was mad real. You know what I'm saying? That was in the middle of everything that was going on the first time with Facebook. They did the thing with the SARS. You know what I'm saying? That was in real time. The thing with the Integrity Farms, which is the weed thing that's going on. Like, they have a whole thing built on that, and how they're able to tell that story, and how they was able to rebrand themselves to tell the United States problem with weed. Like, the episodes in that season is literally basically advocating for weed in a way that like is mad humorous, but then if you really sit there and you like really take it to heart, and you're not thinking that this is some damn cardboard cutout show, you like, wait, hold up, these dudes are dead ass serious. Like, this is real talk though. Like, it just hits. It just hit all sixes for me.
Here's why I would, if today somebody came and said South Park's going nowhere, how do you advocate for it? You gotta watch every episode. And I would watch every episode. South Park for me stands for, the conversation around gaming and violence? Right? You know how politicians are very staunch on, yes, and our youth is violent because they play violent video games.
That bullshit.
Yeah.
I would imagine that there's a South Park episode. And I'm telling you, because I only watch what he recommends. I'm not a consistent watcher of it. I would imagine that there's a South Park episode out there that says, okay, cancel all the video games, and then the kids get worse with the violence because they go back watching the movies where they got it from in the first place.
Right. Very social.
Right? I feel like South Park is consistently exposing every single part of society like that.
Society's flaws, yeah, of course.
Right. Like, you over here saying this, but you don't, and then they get pointed a finger at, like, fam, why are you making jokes? This is serious. Like, no, motherfucker, if it's serious, then why are you here?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about South Park.
I feel like listen, don't take my fuck South Park thing for disliking South Park. I'm just throwing it out there by comparison.
You're just trying to rank something.
Yeah, by comparison.
What is your number one?
As far as
Rick and Morty?
It's I would say it's between it's actually, it's funny, it's actually between The Simpsons, South Park, and Rick and Morty. The Simpsons, because The Simpsons was so far ahead of their time with current events now. They talked about Donald Trump being president way before Donald Trump became president.
They predicted so much.
Things. There's like 3 or 4 Watch Mojo episodes of things Simpsons predict.
Son. Yep. Like, really? So now Rick and Morty would pique the sci-fi in me, along with along with the social inadequacies of a 13-year-old child or a 15-year-old child and his a really, 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 really smart grandfather. Like, it, when you apply those to apply that dynamic to society as it stands now, like, that's really funny. Now, South Park, I didn't gravitate to it early in the in its premiering.
Yeah,
it was like, I want to say I probably went to it for one of the I'd say the first holiday, the first Christmas.
Yeah, and even that's tough. That's a tough one.
Son,
I mean, it was funny, but if you couldn't
Christmas
get
pool?
the Christmas pool,
Son, I lost it, and that was it for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, listen, South Park is definitely high up for me when it comes to those types of sitcom, animated adult animations. But I would, like I said, I was just throwing it out there, like, let's see where this lands. Throw it spitballing, throwing shit out the wall. You know what I'm saying?
I got something for you to throw against the wall.
What? The Apple? Any Apple products? Sony products? PlayStation?
Yeah. Apple is yet again would like us to believe that the iPad is a computer.
I'm tired of having this conversation with these dudes.
Yeah, like it's getting real repetitive.
Here we go again.
I'm really getting tired of having this conversation with these dudes, man.
Now,
it's annoying.
Now here comes these fucks with the 2020 iPad, and you know the narrative here: more this, more that, right? And going back to a conversation we had in a previous episode of the podcast on probably the only pass I give Apple is they are pretty good at over-engineering the device in order to future-proof it. What that means is the device you buy today it's got a processor in it that's strong for what? Makes no sense.
Yeah.
You can do everything you can do with 30% less power. However, as the software progresses and gets, the OS gets better, more features, blah, 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 2-3 years from now, you'll find that over-engineered architect affords you the right to keep up with the Joneses. I give him a pass for
That's
that.
fair.
And it's almost not a pass because everybody else is out here hunting for deals. And I keep telling people, stop fucking showing up to my door with $400 computers asking me why it's not fast. If you want something that's fast, buy a $1,500 computer, because if you go to Apple, that's the computer they sell you. And that $1,500 computer will also last you 6-7 years. But, whatever. That longevity is not synonymous with PCs because people see PCs as a value proposition. Okay.
Right.
Here comes Apple with the new iPad. Whatever the fuck chip in it. It's got LiDAR cameras for fuck all God knows what reason. Now it has trackpad and mouse support. iOS.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the crowd goes wild.
But why? I understand.
Fucking exactly.
I understand your iPad can now it's not compatible with a trackpad or whatever pad, but okay.
Yo, son. And let me I don't believe in karma, so fuck the dead. I can talk bad about the dead however I so choose. Because when I depart from this motherfucker, there's a long list of people that'll be like, "Where is this grave? I need to take a piss."
They're talking. Look how they did Michael Jackson. Carry on, sir.
Right now, this fucktard Steve Jobs. This is in the Pocket PC, Windows Mobile era. Everyone had styluses. Life was good. Life was happy.
Sure was.
He comes and says, well, "You're doing it wrong. Your finger is the only stylus you need. And if you're not using your finger for this touch device of the future, then you're doing it wrong. You don't understand human ingenuity." This is what this guy said.
So Steve Jobs is the pinnacle of just assholism.
Now, Samsung is like, he completely turned the industry on its head. Now, no one wants a stylus. All this shit is dead. Samsung is the only one with their dick out there on the curb. They still sell a Note, right? Microsoft says, fuck all that. Here's this Surface. Here's a pen. For you motherfuckers who want to use this, here it is. Life is good. Here comes Apple. long after the death of Steve Jobs,
The pencil.
and say, "Hey guys, look what we got. Here's this pencil." All right, so hang on. Let's part the weeds here. So you're telling me that the person who took Apple from, I say person, right? Because the company that took Apple from bankruptcy was actually Microsoft.
Yeah.
But the person whose vision took Apple from in the trash can to the $1 billion, $1 trillion, whatever the fuck they are today, said, fuck all of these peripherals. Your finger's all you need. He dies, and whoever's at the helm says, fam, bring the pencil back. Now, 3 or 4 years later, they're like, what happens if we add the mouse and keyboard back in? Man, get the fuck off my lawn with this stupid shit, son. Like, and it's crazy because to really understand the breadth of this fuckboy shit, you need to pay attention to your local Apple nerd. The narrative have changed 3 different times because remember, whatever Apple does, people are like, yes, and this is the way of the future. Son, Apple has changed directions 3 times and we're back where we started. How are you fucking innovative? How?
Houseway.
Like, it's just real questions like, what the fuck are you telling me? And then on top of that, you're going to tell me that it's a computer? Motherfucker, I know it's a computer. A computer never left. You were the one that said, here's this whole new thing that's not
What's
a computer. Son, Apple was when Steve Jobs unveiled the iPad, he was the one that said, this is not a computer. This is its own thing. So what? Now it's a computer? What the fuck? So like, what's happening here? Who gets to do these things? You know what? Donald Trump. My bad. Carry on.
You know, I feel in my own heart of hearts. The problem began when the world gave Steve Jobs as much attention as they did. That's first and foremost, because you don't care about the person behind the scenes until they get in front of a camera, and now everything stops because this person is now making doing a point, making a point to show off whatever. Yeah. Bill Gates was the person that everyone hated because of the whole monopoly thing.
Sure.
And
he was a ruthless businessman.
He absolutely is. But
Bill Gates was a fuckboy.
But
Bill Gates was a fuckboy.
He was. I think most of these types of thinkers are fuckboys. But the history has shown us that when you put a face to a company, now you have a target. And good, bad, or indifferent. So now here, Steve Jobs goes. I couldn't tell you who the fuck Steve Jobs was or what he looked like prior to the iPhone. I could not tell you who he was, or what he looked like.
Because Apple Macs didn't fucking matter at that time.
I mean, listen. Let's say for shits and giggles that it did. So, like, say for instance, the Mac, the colorful ones, the fat ass Mac,
the iMac,
the fat whatever.
Yep.
All right, it's an Apple computer. It's a computer that's making colorful computers. A computer company that's making colorful computers at that time. Okay, they're doing it this way. Microsoft does it that way. Whatever. So again, I could not be definitive when it came to, all right, who's run? I know Bill Gates ran Microsoft, but it wasn't
because there was a hit on his head.
But before even the hit, I don't know exactly what he looks like. There wasn't a face to the company. So now move forward. Now you got this dude on this guy Bill Gates. Why do I keep on
Tim Apple?
All of these people, as far as Apple is concerned,
Tim Apple. That's what Trump calls him. It's Tim Cook, but he calls him Tim Apple.
You have these Apple CEOs making it known to be in front of the camera, showcasing whatever. So now there's your face. Bill Gates was the face because they wanted his head prior to all of that. So now, in the midst of such turmoil amongst one software, one hardware, but two basically computer giants, and now Bill Gates get in front of a crowd, and now what I'm offering is the shit. This is why you want an iPhone. This is why you want to invest in Apple. This is why you want Apple that. So now, while everybody got pitchforks out for one, he steps up. So now that's what solidified Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
So now, fast forward, everybody has picked a side. Everybody has picked a side.
That's it right there. Yeah.
And I feel like where it's less now to be on the side of Apple or on the side of Microsoft or on the side of Android or whatever. 2008 to 2014, 15, you had better pick a side at that point. Because that's where I felt like it was all out war. It was all out war. So you got this dude, Steve Jobs, telling us in the midst of all out war, and everyone is looking at him as the shining knight on the white horse, saying, hey, you don't need a stylus. Hey, 7 inches on a tablet is ludicrous. Yeah, everybody's gonna listen to him because he got the jump on everybody else. Yeah, and this is why people feel and people flock to the first person in the room. The first person to stand up and say, no, do it this way. The first person we would be led to believe pioneered something.
I like how you said that. We would led to be believed because Steve Jobs didn't pioneer fuck all.
At all.
Son, this conversation just will not die. And I don't want to get into what's a computer versus what's not a computer. My point around this fucking company is the people who are anti what we're doing here. They're on the other end of a podcast somewhere in lockdown talking about how great the new iPad is. Yeah. Those are the people I want to talk to. Like, fam, wait a minute. This project was carved out of the illusion of innovation because tablets existed long before the iPad, and it had some sort of purpose, and it was said to be different because X, Y, and Z,
right?
Only to end up being the exact same shit, but with an Apple logo on the back of it.
So,
how do you continue? Son, there are consumers that I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go in and buy it. It does what I do. Fine. And that's okay. But these publications that sit up in these rooms and clap for Apple and write these scathing articles about how they're doing X, Y, and Z, son, it is wild to see them completely ignore the way Apple just blatantly encroaches on everything around them.
Cash rules.
Everything. Son, it's fucking bugged out. Like, son, You know, the only thing that's missing at this point, right, is I expect the next iPhone Pro to be sold alongside an iPencil Pro.
You know what's gonna happen.
That's the only thing
what's gonna
left.
happen.
And then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's amazing! Now I can use a pencil." The thing that Steve Jobs said should not exist on this 7-inch display of a phone. The same Steve Jobs said anything that's over 4 inches is too big. But what are they going to tell me? Oh, Ramon, Steve Jobs not alive anymore. Really? Because every time Tim Apple opens his mouth, all he does is credit Steve Jobs.
Tim Apple.
So am I to believe that the DNA of Steve Jobs doesn't exist anymore? Or is Tim Apple just up here running his fucking mouth?
They got Steve Jobs' head in a plate, they got him in a plate. Futurama.
Yep. What's the dude from Ninja Turtles? The brain. Crane. Yep.
Oh,
they got him in one of them joints.
Kang. I think it's Kang. I think you're right. K.A.
They got him in one of them joints in a fucking apple sauce. Son, you know what? This was a bad topic. I'm all riled up.
Easy,
fam, easy.
Let's move on.
For sure.
Let's move the fuck on to something more positive. And I'm going to ask Tawann because I know Snow is up on it. Have you seen Mike Tyson's podcast? It's called Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson.
I haven't watched an episode or seen but it's popped up on a timeline or somewhere. I know it popped up on my Instagram timeline. It popped up on YouTube for a second, but it's just too much at one point, at one time for me. I'll get to it.
Hit it hard.
Yeah.
Because I know you like Joe Budden and them.
Yeah.
You'll like it. You can even watch the episode with Joe Budden that was on it.
Yeah, I know he was on there.
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
So what's your take on Mike?
You asking me or
you?
Yeah.
What's my take? I'm gonna give you a real surface level take because I haven't watched it, so I like the idea.
No.
Not the podcast.
How you feel about
just
Mike.
Oh, about Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I restructure your question? How I feel about Mike Tyson doing podcasts?
No,
I think that's hilarious.
Just in general.
But
do you rock with Mike?
I rock with Mike. But particularly why I rock with Mike. Do you remember when it wasn't a stand-up comedy, but me and Chris, me and my wife, we watched the thing with Mike Tyson, and we were just really impressed by the entire show. You know what I'm saying?
Son, that's everything that he does.
You understand? So it's like, he wasn't elaborate, even though he elaborated. He didn't use words like metaphysical, but I understood what he was saying. And his take on things that have actually happened to him was just so relatable. And he comes across in what he does at this point in time as so very relatable. And it's like he's telling his story from my seat and not from the seat of a rich person's point of view.
Okay. I think that's spot on. And for me, you guys know I arrived late to the culture because there was only so many banana boats coming from the country at the time. And I saw Mike where I saw Mike. All I know is motherfuckers was hesitant to buy pay-per-view matches because the shit was only going to last 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was the half of it.
Because he was going to knock a motherfucker out in 30 seconds. And then nobody want to get in the ring. And the dude just used to say wild shit wherever there was a camera. That was what I know about Mike. And then he showed up and like...
I broke my back.
Son, that is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I broke my back.
He said, what do you mean? He said, spinal.
My back is broken.
Yo, son.
Well, how is it?
Have you ever looked at video?
Son,
Look for that video on YouTube and read the comments. Motherfuckers be like, I broke my record. It was like, what do you mean? He'd be like, vinyl.
yo, that is the most hilarious thing. Just
like,
to spin off on a second, like I have to call in to take a sick day, and somebody did a meme for calling in for my job, calling in sick.
Mm-hmm.
And then linked it with the the Mike Tyson clip. Son, hilarious. Hilarious, son. Hilarious.
So, I think he showed up in that movie. What's the shit in Vegas where the dude was getting married?
Hangover.
Hangover.
He showed up in the movie with 2 fucking tigers, and then like I found out like the tigers was real. This dude really had fucking tigers.
He really
in his
has
garage.
tigers.
And he had tigers in the 90s, bro.
Yeah.
And then I saw a interview with him one time, and he was just like, "You're a piece of shit." He was talking to the dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, here he goes again." But I was like, "Wait, nah." But this dude really is a piece of shit. Like he had no right to do that. Like that's just fucked up, right? So I started like, let me look up this dude Mike and see what the fuck he's doing. And then I started to get hip to like his complete transformation of who he is today.
Right.
That's what you see on the podcast. It's the dopest shit ever, son.
I'm really impressed at this point in time, because I think for a minute he was kind of spiraling.
Yeah, he was.
Even during the hangover,
bottom.
time, he was still spiraling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And actuality, even up until the podcast, like there's certain podcasts, if you watch it or listen to it, they mention like, yeah, no, he just did this, like he just came off of this, like this just happened like an episode or 2 ago.
Right. And it's so good to see him at a high point in his boxing career. Then he fell. And then he's trying to climb back to his high point. He kind of sort of did for a second. And then he fell again. And then it was like, okay, you know what? It's time to leave the sport of boxing. Leave. And he's still spiraling downward. And then here's the comeback again. And even like you said with the movie, it was what it was. He was still spiraling, but he was trying to work his way back into some sort of prominence.
He didn't even know he was in the movie.
And then, right.
Nah, he didn't know.
He didn't?
He didn't know he was in the movie.
Nope.
That's hilarious.
So that level of that dynamic it's amazing to see, because he's the type of person that you want that authenticity to resonate differently. All right, with him.
Absolutely.
You don't want him to act a part. You want that part to be, no, this is what Mike will do. And
fam, you have to see this hot boxing with Mike Tyson. Son.
It's definitely on my
I've been watching him. I've been watching him and like outwardly like laughing out loud, because he's very much still Mike.
Yeah, he is. He is.
You know what I mean? And he's got the craziest stories in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just wild, son, the stories that he tells. And it's, you know what's dope about him? He's not telling these stories. His guests are the ones that's like, yo, Mike, do you remember back in?
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, shit, yeah, that's right. And then here he goes on the, son, it's the only podcast I've seen where motherfuckers are here for the host.
Yeah.
Not the guests.
Son, I listened to because Mike used to hang out on Flatbush Avenue. So,
son, we me and Snow was just talking about this on the episode he had with Carl Kanai.
So
they was talking about this.
So he used like my barber is from Flatbush Avenue area, and my other barber, Doogie, he's actually, shout out Doogie, he's actually from that, because they all cut in the same shop at one point. They have so many stories of when he come through, he had a drop top Bentley, it was like a drop top Bentley Azure Continental, something like that. It wasn't the GT Continental whatever, but it was like an older one. And he would come through and everybody would crowd. He'd give out money. He was just so authentic. And I fucks with him for just that alone.
He tells a story. About him being in a barbershop, and I think it's the one in Flatbush, where I guess one of the stick-up kids happened to be in the store, and somebody was like, "Yo, Mike, you pay for my haircut or whatever." He was like, "Yeah, but you gotta let me cut your hair." So the motherfuckers was like,
Mike said,
"Yeah." Mike was like, "Yeah, I pay for your haircut, but you gotta let me cut your hair." So Mike is getting lessons on how to cut this dude hair or whatever. And then dude's all nervous in the chair and shit. And all of a sudden, I think it was like, he said like some gunshots or some shit came through or whatever, and they came through, they got the dude out, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah. Like that's a story for Mike. You know what I mean? There's another situation to where Mike was in, I think, Miami, and they ran up on the vehicle, and when they pulled out, they backed out on Mike, and they was like, "Oh shit, champ, my bad. We thought you was one of these mark ass football players." And they like let him rock. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so his stories.
So he got mad stories, but like I want to get into the hot boxes specifically. So like the show is basically hired around or based around using some kind of weeds or whatever, right? So they all smoking in there. Tyson talks about a lot of his businesses. He got the Tyson Ranch. He got some other things that he's planning on doing as well. Right. He also talks about this toad trip that he took. That's some like real amazing type shit that he encourages everybody to go on. And then like everybody who has coming through the show, they like, for the most part, have some kind of pre-existing history with Mike Tyson in some way, shape, or form. And like Ramon said, like they be getting into conversations and shit go left really quickly in terms of like the topic, because he have a story. But then the other part of it is Mike is deep. Mike gets deep. He talks about stuff that I guarantee you no one would expect Mike to talk about, and it'll have you like really sitting there thinking like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Plus, this is I want to say like a coming out thing for him, right? Because even though he don't say it's therapy, fam, it's just like therapy for him. Man, he doesn't agree to that.
Of course.
Because he's able to talk, get it out, and he's sharing his experiences, and he says things where he's literally helping people. You can look in the comment section, like he's helping people left and right, left and right, left and right, and right, son. It's like there's not an episode. Like there are people who are just like, fam, I had no idea Mike could get like this. I had no idea Mike would have me sitting here thinking about, changing my life and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? And he does it by telling his stories. He tells you, you know what I mean, like all the stupid shit that he was doing. He hate that guy that he used to be, and this, that, and the third. And a lot of people didn't know the whole fear thing that Mike had when he's going into the ring, and where it switches over at he uses fear as a power, not as a way to take him out of anything. Which, for the most part, I kind of do the same thing. It's easier to do it for fighting, but I use it in other areas. But like, he gets into all these old school stories, and one of my favorite episodes is because obviously I'm half Brownsville, half Bed-Stuy. My family from my mom's side, that's more Brownsville than anything else. And I remember growing up, these motherfuckers knew Mike. You know what I mean? Like if you lived in Brownsville at the time, you knew who the fuck Mike was. And everybody had the same fucking thing. Yo, this dude is a fucking terror. Like you don't want to see this dude. And they tell you stories But like, yeah, Mike did this, Mike did that, Mike did this. And so listening to these things that Mike is talking about is like, yo, these family members of mine really wasn't bullshitting, because he's sitting here telling you everything that he's fucking did. Everything that they said, he's talking about it. So the episode he has with Carl Kanai, who is legendary streetwear brand,
right.
He's also from out that way, and I didn't know that they was, you know, super close or anything. And they're sitting there talking their stories, and then they get deep to the point to where even Carl Kanai, because Carl Kanai is kind of deep, even to the point where Carl Kanai had to sit there and listen and just like had to inhale that and was like, You could tell he didn't think about it. At first, I thought he was feeling like, I don't want to say insulted or something like that. I don't want to say that, but like Mike said something that he didn't believe in. He didn't believe in something that it might have been dealt with death or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And about all of us being from Africa, I think it was. And Mike went into this like deep level of where this is, where that is, this, that, and the third. And you know, when you watch this show, you realize like how intelligent this dude is. Even going back to when everybody was scared of the quote pit bull. You get what I'm saying? You know, his stories with custom auto and the things he used to study, all these people who used to study, fighters that you've never even heard of, historic fighters, real fighters, boxers, everything. Like
did you see the one with LL?
I haven't seen that one yet.
I didn't see that. No, neither.
So LL's family has a history of boxing.
That don't surprise me.
He comes from, I think his grandfather and his great-grandfather were notable boxers. And I think his great-grandfather was the first black guy that was allowed to box white people. And
his great-grandfather?
Yeah, either his great-great-grandfather was the first black guy that was allowed to be in the ring with white people. And I guess it got to a level where he was untouchable. And they were going to put him up against some dude from England that was the best. And they sabotaged him, of course. You know, that's what they do. They outwardly hit him in the face in the ring and jumped him and all this bullshit. But LL didn't have that story. That story came from Mike. Mike was the one let me tell you. Because LL was just, you know, he was just like, nah, because Mike was asking, why do you love boxing so much? Like, you know, his first song or his first big hit was like Mama Said Knock You. Like, that's where that all came from. And that's what LL was trying to get across. And Mike was like, oh, this is your blood. Let me tell you about your grandfather. Like, he had the research on this dude. He knew. I was just like, how the fuck, son?
It wouldn't surprise me any that he has research on my grandfather. You guys, probably,
your grandfather's a boxer too.
Yeah, my grandfather was actually. I mean, if you're a boxer, then you would know that he was the only one to beat Rocky Marciano. So, but he beat him in the
Pro-Am?
the Golden Glove.
Okay.
He wasn't professional at the time.
Right.
So, but it's just like that level of intuitiveness and knowledge of, like, that's a boxer thing. You know, when they do their homework and when they're watching other fighters, that, like, they don't watch who's current. They watch people from the past. They watch, Joe Louis. They watch Rocky Marciano. They watch Sugar Ray. They watch like a boxer today will watch all of that because and they'll just try to take parts of maybe their how they fought and apply it to them, or they watch how if this fighter fights like that fighter. Well, what did that fighter do that was wrong? And try and say, if you haven't seen any flaws in the new fighter that fights like the old fighter, like Sugar Ray, well, what did Sugar Ray do that was wrong that I can capitalize on if, let's say, Floyd Mayweather fights like Sugar Ray? well, maybe he drops his shoulder before he throws whatever. I gotta look for that. So if one fighter fights like another fighter, it's highly likely that they'll make the same mistakes. So this is that's a fighter's I guess way of looking at it, at those aspects. But it's just wild. Mike, I fucks with Mike.
Fam, you gotta watch the show.
You
gotta
watch
the
it.
show.
What I would say,
I really will. I was actually trying to look it up on one of the streaming services.
Nah, go to YouTube.
No, it's on YouTube. It's a lesson for people of color. And Mike learned that lesson so we wouldn't have to. That fall from grace. Yeah. And he survived it with a fuck ton of perspective. And he hasn't changed. He's still Wild Hood.
Oh yeah.
He's wild. Like I sent Snow Exhibit. He had an interview on Exhibit. Exhibit was there, and Exhibit was talking about his new everybody's getting in the cannabis market. So Exhibit's partner was outside. So Mike was like, why is he outside? So he's looking outside. They got like glass doors. He's like, the guy's white, right? Mike's like, Nick, Alex, come in. I just started laughing. It's just this shit was just so funny. Like, yo, he's still. You can't even say he's hood. He's
authentic.
He's just Brooklyn through and
That
through.
nigga's funny.
Authentic.
He's funny.
Yeah.
He's intelligent
funny.
and
He was
funny.
talking about Vanderveer.
Right.
He was like, yeah, man, those guys from fucking Vanderveer, man. I was like, oh, shit, that's fucking crazy. So, yo, you got to watch it, Tawann. You'll fucking, it's something to binge. It really is.
I definitely will. Definitely will. I'm going to put that on the list.
Well,
Yeah.
But on that note, we would like for you guys to put That's the Lifestyle on your binge list
Yes,
as
sir.
well.
Damn it. Better.
God damn it, man. In the show notes, you will find links to our social media outlets. Holla at us. I want to introduce an Ask Me Anything segment where we take questions from the listeners and viewership and whoever else, just to keep the topics relevant to the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you guys will know how to reach out to us. Hit us with those questions. We'll come back to you, man.
We sure will. Anything you want to know.
My name is Anything.
Anything.
And my name is Ramon.
His name is Ramon. My name is Tawann. Kicks God.
I'm your boy Snow.
Snow Nasty.
Tetris God.
Holla.
We out of here.
Peace.